This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, host Jason Glick, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, John. It's a nice day.
Yes. It's fall, whatnot. There's leaves falling, at least if you're in other parts of the country.
Yes, and as opposed to California here, it's just a little cool and dry. So, I mean, like all you people who are just like, suffering under the polar vortex, I mean, hey, congratulations to you. It's like, I mean, we would love to have your weather out here on the coast right now, but that's just not going to happen. We're just going to keep going until the California enters its desert phase and everything turns into Mad Max. We're just fighting for water instead of gas.
Yes. All of you out there don't live in California. We only have 2 seasons, hot and cold. That's pretty much it. So
I'm not bitter. No, maybe just a little bitter.
yeah, exactly. Like fall colors. What are you talking about? Anyway, so what do you have up for us tonight?
Okay, well, first, before we dive into the titled podcast, I want to talk about, it's like how I talk about reading things sometimes, particularly with manga, because, it's like there are some series where it's like, I like to think of myself as a fairly lenient reader in the sense that, if something doesn't impress me like right off the bat, I'll give it another volume to try and think about, how, okay, maybe it's still developing, maybe it'll get better and all. And, there have been a couple times when series has taken a little while to click with me. I mean, it's like, there was the one I wrote about last week on Monday, Ajin, Demi-Human, new title from Vertical. It's like, first of all, I'm completely generic, shonen action, but with just a little bit more blood, guts, and dismemberment than what you expect to see from, say, the likes of, say, Naruto and One Piece. But it's like, hey, it wasn't actively awful, not like, say, From the New World, Volume 1. So, yeah, I figured, I can give it another, even though it's like this volume didn't wow me, it's like, I can just give it another volume or two, just to see how it turns out. And, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll eventually evolve into something that I thoroughly look forward to after each volume. Much like, The Flowers of Evil. Now, this is a series that I bought back in the days when I bought everything from Vertical because just about everything they put out was worth reading. Then along came the one-two punch of Sickness Unto Death and From the New World, and I realized that Vertical doesn't like, even though like they try to unpick idiosyncratic stuff that is outside of the mainstream, it doesn't always work. But I picked up The Flowers of Evil, Volume 1, and in it I found the story of average junior high schooler Takao Kasuga. He's living in his small country town in the prefecture of Gunma in Japan, and he's just your average underachiever. He doesn't do well on tests, but he also likes reading like stuff like the Flowers of Evil, the poetry collection by the poet Baudelaire, at his dad's urging, just in order to get some culture and just hey, I'm reading a tough book, hey, I'm not like all you other losers out there and such. And he's just going through life, just taking tests, gonna live out his life in this small town, and also idolizing the class idol Nanako Saeki from afar, just saying, hey, there's no way I'm ever going to get this girl and all. And also just wondering what the hell is up with the class weirdo Sawa Nakamura, who apparently just doesn't even try on tests and just calls teachers stuff like shitbugs to their face. But then one day he realizes he's forgotten his book at school, and he runs back to go get it. And then he sees and as he gets it, he sees this. He's on the ground, like Saeki's bag of gym clothes and all. He's thinking like, oh, this is the girl I like. Her clothes are right there, the one she's worn and all. And without thinking, he just grabs it, takes it back to his runs back to his home with them. And he's like, he's got this girl's clothes in his hands, and he's saying, oh, it's the girl I like. And like, oh my God, what have I done? Just the standard, sense of shame and recrimination that comes with such a forbidden act. What he doesn't know is that Nakamura saw him take these clothes, and she confronts him with this after school the next day, and she says that she basically says you're going to make a contract with me. It's like you're going to basically do whatever I say because you're a pervert just like me. It's like, and I'm gonna expose you, finally show you the real truth of who you are underneath all that yucky skin. Now, the thing that got me about the first volume is the thing that didn't impress me about the first volume was just the fact that hey, he stole this girl's gym clothes and all. Oh, and at the very end of the volume, Nakamura makes him wear these clothes on a date with Saeki after he's managed to impress her by standing up for Nakamura in class. So, and I'll admit to this. I've read lots of hentai manga over the years, to the point where my perceptions about what is perversion or shocking has been greatly warped by reading the likes of, say, Yonakura Kengo, Yuki Yanagi, Tsuki no Jogi, Gunma Kisaragi, all these guys and all, and lots more. There you go. That's my perversion right there. But so after reading all that stuff, the junior high kid who steals a girl's clothes, forced by another girl to wear them, on a date, that's just like amateur hour right there. I mean, that's not perversion. It's like, yeah. But hey, I'll keep reading just to see if it gets better. Well, if you've been reading my reviews of this series, you'll know that it's like this series did get a lot better. I mean, even though the second volume still kind of struggled with its, it had the big date. Nakamura tries her best to mess things up, but then at the end, Kasuga finally goes nuts and confesses to everything on the on the school blackboard, and just goes on this great big hey, I'm just gonna wreck the classroom and all, because I'm just sick of all these perverts and all these liars and pretenders. It's like, and it's a great scene as he and Nakamura just completely rip their class, desecrate their classroom, and it's like it's a great metaphor for sex. That's what it is. Because by the end of it, even though they haven't actually touched each other, it's like by the end of their desecration of the classroom, it's kind of like they're lying together. It's one of those hey, was it good for you kind of moments. And that's when I started thinking, hey, there may be more to this series as it is. And as it goes on, I mean, the series, the first half of the series up through volume 7 basically follows the deepening triangle of deceit, recrimination, angst, and betrayal that Saeki, Kasuga, and Nakamura have between each other. Because even though it's like Kasuga, Saeki, she finds out that, hey, she responds to his entreaties to her, by the fact that she realizes that he's showing me stuff that I've never seen before, and then she realizes that that she also realizes the fact that because of the symbol that is formed on the classroom floor, it's the same as the one on the cover of the copy of the Flowers of Evil that he loaned her. She realizes that he's the one who did this, who desecrated the classroom, but she realizes she's going to keep it a secret because she likes him, because she appreciates what he does, these feelings that he stirs within her. But at the same time, Kasuga is still kind of entranced with Nakamura. And even though there is a point where you realize that why would he feel this way, it's eventually realize that Nakamura is just even though she's very vulgar, and violent to a certain extent, she's so deeply unhappy with who she is and where she is and why she's stuck with her lot in life, that Kasuga realizes that he has to be the one to save her from this from her lot in life, and that's when like all the angst starts turning up, and the drama starts getting big when his crime gets revealed, and then he starts rebelling against his parents, just completely like rejecting it's like rejecting Sayaki. It's like, and eventually it's like hooking up with Nakamura to do a what appears to be what looks to be a love suicide at their say at the school's at the town's summer festival, and it doesn't things don't go as planned, and in the end it's like, and it's, I mean, this whole first half of this series, like, yeah, from volumes 1 through first part of volume 7, it's a really, it's like, it also becomes a really compelling and like take on just, the trials of adolescence, and just, the crazy shit you feel when you're, it's like when you're young and you're trying and you're dealing with all these weird feelings you don't know how to properly express. It's like I thought it was like, even though it's like the problems, the main problem that I can see people having with this series is that they just look at the teenage angst these characters express and just going, oh good god, not this again. But I think that mangaka Shuzo Oshimi actually does a good job of laying out the mindset of Kasuga, who is the series' true protagonist, and how he responds to these very different vibes he's getting from these two girls with completely different mindsets. It's like in his world, and just how he eventually managed to break out of his of his complacent existence. It's like, but it turns out just in a way that it's shocking, and just more, and it's like just even a little disturbing as well. But then you get to the second half, and then things actually start playing against type, because after you've spent 7 volumes, heaping all sorts of drama and craziness upon the main characters, well, it's like, what do you do for an encore? Well, you start out with Kasuga in a more urban environment. I can't remember the name of the city that he's in, but it's urban. That's the key thing right here. He's not out in the sticks anymore. It's like he's part of more popular Japanese society, and he's just he's in high school now, and it's 2 years later, and he's he's in school. He's just going through the motions. He's got some friends. This is another issue I have with the series. I don't know why he wound up with friends, because I don't know how you just go get friends just by going through the motions. I just would think that someone who comes off as much as a dead fish as he does in these scenes, he would have been the class outcast than anything else. But hey, it's like I can deal with it. I mean, he's already suffered enough. I don't need. I guess I can live with Oshimi not heaping even more suffering upon him, because I guess that would have been ridiculous. Even afterward, that would probably have been ridiculous at a certain point. But he's in school. He's going through the motions. His parents' marriage has been shaken by his actions, and it's like, and he's just going, and he's just just going through life as it is. And he, up until one point when some girls in his class approach his group of guys and say, hey, we need some extra guys to come with us for karaoke. And so and one of the girls includes the class idol Tokiwa. And so they don't go together, and Kasuga, of course, just says, no, I'm not going to sing anything, because I'm not that kind of person. And it's like, he just kind of remarked that he's kind of a dead fish and all. And he goes home. He winds up getting mugged by some guys on the way back, because he knocks over their ramen, and then he just says some shit, because he's just hey, I'd love to go through life like you guys, but I just can't. And then as he's walking home, he encounters Tokiwa, who is who happens to be in a bookstore looking at a copy of The Flowers of Evil, and he sees that, and he's like, "You're reading The Flowers of Evil? How?" It's like, "What? Why are you interested in that?" And he's just completely crazy, like a stalker, and she's creeped out by it, but at the same time, he pulls himself back just to realize, like, oh yeah, so I used to like books and all, but I haven't read a single one in 2 years. Because apparently she was looking at it, because apparently it's the one of the poems was in a book she read, and so she offers to loan him the book, and he says okay. So he gets the book, reads it, loves it, starts to reawaken his passion, and it slowly evolves into this relationship between him and this girl. This is probably like the thing I like most about the series, because even though the series started with the the trope of the kid, like unlike the kid in class getting with the class idol. I mean, like, it was twisted to disturbing and it's like and bad ends. But this time, not Kasuga. It's actually Kasuga's working from experience, from all the heartache that's been foisted upon him, and what happens with his relationship with Tokiwa actually feels a lot more believable and credible. It's like than before. Like, you start to root for them after a while. I mean, even though she's got she's dating like an upperclassman in another school, the little nuances of their relationship, the fact that they bond over books, and the fact that the reading, like, we found out that reading is something that she's never really shared with anyone else, or even her boyfriend, and then there's a surprise appearance by Saeki, who basically shows up and basically calls Kasuga on all of his running away bullshit that he's done in the past 2 years. It eventually leads to a great moment where Kasuga does make an entreaty for Tokiwa's heart, and I would thought that was fascinating. I mean, rereading the entire series, like, even knowing this is what was coming, it still felt really gratifying to see things turn out the way they did. But here's the thing, because this, even if this happens around volume 9 or so, and hey, if you're going to get the main character together with the girl, then obviously next step is there's plenty of room for them to just fall apart, and that's the thing that's hanging over the rest of the series. Because that not only is Kasuga, eventually going to have to make a trip back to Gunma in order to confront his past, which he does, but also he's going to have to confront Nakamura again just to put the past to rest. And here's where Volume 11 starts, because 10 ended with the cliffhanger that he's finally met Nakamura, who is now living with her mother, and at an eatery out in another country area. And then you get to majority of Volume 11 is the first half at least is his confrontation with Nakamura, just settle accounts of the past. What did we feel for each other and all. The accounting is kind of like, I realize that this is kind of like, maybe I'm not Japanese. I look at that what they do here, and I can see understand the emotions of what they feel, and why Kasuga would do some of the stuff that he does here. And I just think that maybe he's just expressing all these things. Yeah, he's throwing Nakamura into the surf because the stuff he just can't express, or just his declaration that I'm so glad you're here, that you weren't not real. Okay, that's strange, but I can understand. I guess I can try and understand it as try and accept it as a it's like you're just like working through things in your own weird way, but I'm willing to give it give this part a pass, mainly because like with all I was worried, I was hearing for the worst in terms of what was going to happen with Kasuga's relationship, and it didn't pan out in that way. In fact, we get some interesting there's volume 11 has really like a couple of extended epilogues. I mean, actually, hey, if you hated the all the epilogues in the Return of the King, then yeah, you're gonna fucking hate like the last 100 pages of this volume, because it's basically not only is it Kasuga in the future at college, but it's also him also what I believe is imagining what his life is going to be like afterwards. And that glimpse we get of his imagination, I think it's beautiful. I would love to see that happen to him, but it also like comes off as like he's trying to embrace writing and having him have the guts to put pen to paper and just describe what he wants life to be from here on out. But it's still a very compelling moment, and it's something I would love. And I'm just thinking about this is as far as the epilogue. I mean, I think it's a very satisfying wrap up to his story, but it's not the last one, because the final chapter is actually it's probably the most illuminating, and it's probably the thing that's made the most series most interesting on a reread, because the final chapter is is basically the first part of the book from Nakamura's perspective. Now, Oshimi has a fairly conventional style that didn't really wow me. Just struck me as being a conventional shonen romance type thing, but she managed to knows how to push it in interesting ways for dramatic effect over the course of this run. And when the characters start freaking out, she's good with conveying the dimensions their expressions take. When they start acting against convention, it's like, holy crap! It's like you feel the drama and the pain or the misery on their face, or even like the meanness such as when Saiki is calling Takao on his running away bullshit. It's like when he's in the city. Now, but this final chapter, it's far more esoteric, and as with any as I would like to think with any story that offers the final chapter that goes back to show you a new version of previous events, it does a good job of casting those events in a different light, because the way Oshimi shows these events is a very distorted. I mean, she does very straight uses very straight lines to convey the series, the art, like in the series so far. But here, this is the world that Nakamura sees is a very phantasmagorical, curved lined world full of shadow creatures that take place of students. I mean, it's artistic license, you can view it as one of two things. It's either artistic license, just get us a little bit inside of Nakamura's head, or it could actually be what she sees, and it could actually mean that Nakamura, she's really kind of psychotic. And the fact that she lives in a world full of visual hallucinations with all these shadow beings and flies and bugs, that just does not conform to reality at all, and how these shadows are constantly trying to take her over. I mean, and to see that moment when it's like when Kasuga takes the steals Saiki's clothes and his real face comes out of his shadow being, and it's like, wow, so this is how she had formed that strong attachment to him. I mean, but still, I mean, I was tempted to think of this as being more literal than anything else, and that fact that Nakamura is actually psychotic, and she's she does need she's someone who did need mental help and just was not going to get it because in Japan mental illness does not exist. It's like unless you go and kill someone and you go to jail and then maybe you'll get the help you need. But in this case, it does. I can understand that how her psychotic nature probably would have would have attracted someone as ordinary as Kasuga and just made it fascinating for him to try and figure her out. And then in the later volumes when she shows up, I can just see maybe that her mother did get her the help, and now that she's medicated up to her gills, which on one hand is kind of sad, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe that's the only way she could live like in a normal world. It's still kind of sad, but still, that's for a final, that's what I like to see in these kind of final chapters. It's like I thoroughly enjoyed going over and rereading this series from front to back, and it was very, very illuminating with that knowledge, along with just seeing how everything plays out from beginning to end. Overall, it's like even though the series doesn't start off on the strongest note, and yeah, it's got lots of teenage angst, and if you hate that, if you hate teenage angst that isn't sugarcoated by superpowers, you're gonna really fucking hate this series. But and also there are little bits of you have to accept this to go on, like how Kasuga managed to get his parents marriage back on track just by being assertive for once, and his the fact that he's not the class outcast when he gets to high school, that kind of thing. But overall, it's like the relationships and character development that he goes through over the course of the series is thoroughly compelling, and and ultimately I felt it was ultimately believable from beginning to end. Like I said, series like The Flowers of Evil are why I continue to give series other titles more than one volume in order to make their mark with me, and just hope that hey, even though it's not always going to be a home run every time, but hey, it's like sometimes patience pays off. We'll see with other series. So John, any thoughts on this end, or you just completely wiped out right now?
No, interesting. I also did a little quick Amazon search. I swear to you guys, we don't get paid by Amazon. I just like using them. Because to me, Amazon is a little referencing kind of database thing.
Except when they're doing their fucking bullshit feud with Hachette, which means I had to go and order on the Bride's volume 6 of A Bride Story through another outlet. But that's just them right now. So
looks like well, I see up to at least volume 11, so that seems like a pretty hefty series. Is there more than that?
No, volume 11 is the last one.
Okay.
And I object to you calling 11 volumes hefty, because, when we're dealing with, when the world of, when Naruto is wrapping up with the volume 70-something, and yet One Piece is still continuing on, we'll probably continue on to volume 80 or so.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yes, and after we're done with this podcast, I'll be writing about volume 36 of Vagabond on the site. So, yeah.
So, yeah, 11 being hefty.
11 is weight.
Yeah, it is. This is true. So I stand corrected on that. I did notice that they seem to have an anime adaptation as well. So I did.
Oh yes, the anime.
Mm-hmm. Oh, any comments on that?
The anime is somewhat infamous because, unlike just about every other anime that is made these days, the people who made The Flowers of Evil anime opted for an unconventional animation style. The animation in The Flowers of Evil is actually rotoscoped.
Ah, okay. Enough said.
Yeah, and apparently, let's see, if I'm going to go by the word of the people at Sankaku Complex, whose word is rarely to be trusted, this did not go over well at all with Japanese viewers.
Okay.
But I still think that looking at some of the stills I saw of the series, I kind of like the unconventional art style. I mean, even if they are just tracing over real people,
Yeah.
it makes for a more distinctive art style than I felt the series had when it first started. I mean, I'm rereading it again. Like I said, I appreciate how Oshimi break like goes with this conventional style and then like starts messing with it in terms of how the characters look later on. But but I don't know, it's like the look of the anime is definitely conventional and singular in its appearance.
Yeah. So yeah, and rotoscoping is it's actually a really old technique, actually. And just as an example, since this is a comic book podcast, well, we can talk about like comic related, the original Superman cartoons in the 1940s.
Yes.
The ones that done by Max Fleischer. Those are actually rotoscoped. I didn't discover that until like a few months ago. I've never really watched those and like going like, wow, that's the best Superman I've ever seen. But I'm just going like, huh, interesting that they would employ that technique back then, and and it's still a technique even used today. So interestingly enough, I'm not saying it's bad per se. What was that one movie with Keanu Reeves in it that was rotoscope?
Oh, Scanner Darkly.
That's it, Scanner Darkly. So
yeah, I actually saw that in theaters.
Yeah, did you like it?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So, so Flowers of Evil, is also available. It looks like 2 volumes. You can have the entire Blu-ray set for a mere $40 on Amazon. So, I don't know if that's good or bad. That's a 2-disc Blu-ray. The DVD comes in 3 discs. So,
see, I have no idea how much of the manga the series covers. I mean, if it's 13, if it's 13 episodes, I can maybe see them. I mean, maybe they'll they be able to cover the entire series, but I don't know if it's only like the first half. You may just want to stick with the manga.
Just a couple of the notes. I mean, one way or another. I mean, it is a fascinating story. It sounds like. It seems like that the anime itself is. Let's see here. Flowers of Evil, Volume 1, 2, and then you have the complete collection for the anime. Yeah, that seems like a lot. So, two Blu-rays seems like it would cover. I don't know. It depends. Things get paced so differently in anime versus like manga. So, as anyone who's read Bleach could attest. Anyway, do you know what we're gonna have on for next time?
Next time, I'm going to pour 40 over Dark Horse's publishing efforts with Star Wars because like in the last, it's been like I said good God, I'm running so behind right now. Like I said last month, they published like what are probably going to be some of their last trade paperbacks. So I got like 4 volumes of stuff to talk about, maybe one more, and I'm just going to say, hey, I bid you farewell, Star Wars Dark Horse, and you ended. It's like it ended pretty well. Then 2 weeks from that is going to be hopefully my copy of Original Sin will have arrived, and then we'll talk about that then.
All right, and we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.
All right, bye.